Hi YouTube, it's Melissa, aka Meoples. Right now I'm kind of behind on filming and editing. It doesn't help that I was sick for almost 6 weeks. I had some bad seasonal flare-up, but I'm better now. So, since it's my day off, I am going to be cranking out some videos. This little intro right here is going to be used for all of those late videos, so you might see this a few times. Before we get back to the regular scheduled content for this video, quick little announcement. There is a little less than 1 week until the start of the Trick or Treat-a-thon. It's a month-long readathon that is taking place next month. The theme is based around Halloween. There are 3 teams to pick from. You can join me on Team Vampires. There's also Team Ghost and Team Witch Wizards. Points are rewarded per page you read, and then there are chances to earn even more points by completing the reading challenges or the prompts and completing the social challenges. You can learn more about the readathon by watching the announcement video. I'll have the link in the description box. And now moving on to the actual content of this video.
Hi YouTube, it's Melissa aka Meeples, and in this video we're doing the July wrap-up. So I normally start off with my haul, but I actually did not buy any books this month. Yay! I mean, that's kind of sad, but the goal this year was to not buy as many books. So to start off with my wrap-up, I'm gonna go in the order of what I read, and I'm gonna tell you the prompts for the readathons that I use them for. So my first book was Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, which was 560 pages. I used this one for owls. Oh, I'm retaking my owls because next month is newts. Okay, so I use that for owls, potions, next ingredient, read a sequel. For the Book Junkie Trials, I use that for the Forgotten Forests, also read a sequel. And then for the Medieval-a-thon Daggers, a book with assassins, which that one I just like took a lightly base because there wasn't actually assassins, but Nova is undercover in the Renegades and she's trying to take down the Renegades, so like that one's a loose interpretation. Next, I have Romeo and or Juliet by Ryan North, and this is a choose your own adventure Romeo and Juliet. I did go through and I went and I kept track of my paths, and then when I finished a path, I just went back to my latest fork and just went through. So I did read all of the books, or all of the prompts in here. It is a total of 400 pages. I used it for the Owls Defense Against the Dark Arts Reducto. The title starts with R. The Book Junkie Trials Dwarf Mount, read a romance book. And then the Medieval-a-thon Sword, a book with something pointy on the cover, which there are swords and knives on there. The next book I listened to was Jukebox Joyride, an Audible original by Jacob Stein. So that one was 0 pages. And then the next book I listened to was Sovereign by Jeff Hirsch. This was also an Audible original, but this one was written down as a script, so that one has 7 pages. And I use that for the Owl's Herbology. There is a plant on the cover. The cover is a forest, so trees. The next book I listened to was A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron, which is 319 pages. I used that for the Owl's Care of Magical Creatures, land animal on the cover. And Book Junkie Trials, The Weeping Falls, read a tearjerker. The next book I read was on my Kindle. I read Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire, which was 406 pages. I used that for the Owl's Ancient Ruins retelling prompt, and then the Book Junkie Trials Apothecary Towers, choose a random book. And at work, I just had my sister like scroll through and randomly stop, and that's the book that she chose. Or actually, I think she may have chosen Lion Amongst Men, so then I chose the first one. Something like that. What I didn't know about my Kindle version was that at the end it also had The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which the individual book by itself is 104 pages. And I used that for the Owl's History of Magic, published over 10 years ago. The next book that I read was the Harry Potter: A History of Magic book, which was the British Library's book version of the museum. So that was published and written by the British Library, J.K. Rowling, and then other various contributors. The book is 256 pages. I used it for the Owl's Charms, which was age line, read an adult work. I counted it as an adult work because it's like a nonfiction history of like magic. So, like, kids might want to read it, but I don't know. I also used this for my first Reading Rush book. It was read a book that has 5 or more words in the title. So, Harry Potter: A History of Magic. The next book I read was Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk, which is 527 pages. So for the Book Junkie Trials, The Great Library, read a book that has been on your TBR for forever. I also had my sister just pick a random book while we were at work. I'm like, I know you don't know what books I have because we're not at home, but just pick a book, any book. I also used it for 3 Medievalathon prompts. So, helmet, a book with a dragon on the cover, clearly. Chestplate, a shiny book cover. It's got some glitters here and the words. And then Bow and Arrow, a book with elves. I completely forgot about the elves, so I wasn't planning on using it for this prompt. I was planning on just not doing this prompt unless something popped up. And it popped up. And then Reading Rush, read a book with a non-human main character. I consider there being 3 main characters in this. There is Ben, the human boy, Sorrel, she is a brownie, and then Fire Drake, the dragon. So out of the 3 main characters, 2 are not human. The next few books that I read were all on my Kindle. I read the short stories from Hogwarts of Power, Politics, and Pesty Poltergeist by J.K. Rowling, and these are just like shorts from Pottermore that she put in for an ebook altogether. So this one is 71 pages. I used it for 2 Reading Rush prompts. So read a book you meant to read last year, and then read a book in the same spot the entire time. I also read Hogwarts: An Incomplete and Unreliable Guide by J.K. Rowling, which was 79 pages. Harry Potter: A Journey Through Charms and Defense Against the Dark Arts by J.K. Rowling, which was 63 pages. And then Harry Potter: A Journey Through Potions and Herbology by J.K. Rowling, with 75 pages. And then I read Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which I bought at Powell's last month. is 267 pages, including the bonus stuff, which I also read. I used it for Owl's Astronomy, star in the title, the Book Junkie Trials, the Bookie Grail, the group book, the Medievalathon Crown, a book where a character fights for the throne, which there are several characters fighting for the throne. The person not fighting for the throne gets the throne. Sorry, spoiler alert. And then Reading Rush, a book with purple on the cover. Also Reading Rush, read a book and watch the movie adaptation. Now, for Book Junkie Trials, I did jump out of order just a little bit because I was planning on reading that for Reading Rush, and it was towards the end of the week, so I needed to get that done and over with. So, since I finished that yesterday, I started Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, which is 563 pages. I'm using it for Owl's Transfiguration, Sprayed Edges, which it does not have, or red cover. Also, the Book Junkie Trials, The Drowning Deep, read a book with rich world building, and this just has so much into it. I don't think she made a map, but there's like obviously a thought out design to the worlds. There's different creatures and stuff. And so I'm pre-filming this right now, so I should have this done by the end of July, but I'm in the middle of it right now. Hang on. Ow. So I forgot to write the rest of these down. So also for the Medievalathon, I'm using Inkheart for Leg Armor, read a thick paperback, and it's a pretty decent size. Boots, a book that has yellowed over time, and Cape, a book with red on the cover. Prompts that I did not finish this month. So for the Owls, I'm not going to be finishing 3. So there's Arithmancy, More Than One Author, Divination, Set in the Future, and Muggle Studies and Contemporary. So for the Owls, it's only 1 book per prompt, so those could have fit somewhere, but I already have a prompt there, so we can't overlap it. For the Book Junkie Trials, this is also 1 book per prompt, so these could also fit in some of the books that I already have, but unfortunately they're being used for other things. Like the Crimson Pinks, Reread a Favorite. Dragon Rider and Inkheart are near and dear to my heart, so unfortunately those were used for my team prompts, so I'm not going to use them for something that doesn't count towards me. There's also the Queendom Stone, read a book featuring royalty. Orc Grove, read a book that is gruesome, gory, and gritty. Old Pirate Cove, read a book that takes place on the sea. Glimmer, a beautiful, colorful book. Draconic Isle, a book that features dragons. The Elven Guard, read a book with war, politics, or military themes. The Hollow Isle, atmospheric or horror book. Empty Barrel Inn, an indulgent read. And Giant Squid, an intimidating book. And for Reading Rush, I did not finish read an author's first book. And then for the Medievalathon, I did not finish Axe, a book with mercenaries. This is what you get for sitting on my lap.